Everybody, happy Thursday. So glad you could make it to our weekly virtual photography trip. Today's going to be a pretty cool one. It's a revisit from last year's trip to the George Washington Bridge, where I actually walk across it, taking you with me. Now, if you were here last year to see it, you might remember, but I enhanced it to make it nicer and more comprehensible. We have there's music now, and I trimmed some stuff out, so it'll be tighter, and you'll get a sense of you really are there. Okay, but as I like to do customarily, before we actually go into it, I like to give you a sense of where this place actually is. Especially, not many New Yorkers, well, most New Yorkers aren't really drivers, so they kind of have a subway map view of things. So I'm giving you a broader view. So we're going to look at the actual map, the driving map, and the satellite map, so you get a sense of where are we going. So let's do the map. Here's our map of New York City and Jersey. Yeah, I'm going to focus on Manhattan. Zoom in to Manhattan. Ready? There we are. And up there, at the top, near the top actually, is Route 95. And that's the George Washington Bridge going from from Washington Heights to Fort Lee, New Jersey. Let me go ahead and switch the map so we can see the terrain on the satellite. There you go, that's how it looks. Boy, kind of a foggy looking river. You know what, that's reflecting the clouds, a bit of a cloudy day. Here's George Washington Bridge. There we are. And that's it's a pretty wide part. Not the widest, but definitely not the narrowest. They say it's like a mile across. Okay, so it's a good 15-20 minute walk. Usually 20, because you can't walk in a nice fast place because you want to look at things, and then you have to be aware of the bicycles that are going back and forth. The walkway is only on the south side, the side that's heading from Jersey to Manhattan. It's not much of a walkway on this side. If it was, it looks like it's closed off. Anyway, so that's that. All right, but actually I started over here, took the jitney across, and then got off here at the Bridge Plaza, and took the walkway, walked across this road, went all the way down and came across, but you'll see all of that. Now, what's very interesting about this, this is one of only a few crossings. We have the tunnels, of course, Lincoln and Holland, and then there are the transit tunnels that are supposed to be being redone because they're old. But as you go further up, there are more bridges at various points. We're going upstate now. We're into Hastings, we're into Westchester. This is Westchester County. Over here is Rockland County, and here you have the famous, it used to be called the Tappan Zee Bridge. This is a photo from when they were still constructing the new Mario Cuomo Bridge, which replaced the Tappan Zee Bridge. And it's the old bridge is no longer there; it's gone. As you see, the river is wider, much wider up here than it was down by Manhattan. But wait, we're not done. You go further up state, past Ossining and past Croton Point Park. It gets narrow again up here at Tompkins Cove, but no bridge. Still no bridge. You see how the river winds around? Really sharp curves. There's a bridge right here, right by Bear Mountain. Now this is the Bear Mountain Bridge. It's one of the shortest, and you can actually walk this one. There is a walkway. It's a high bridge, kind of, but you can probably do this one in 10 minutes. Maybe 15. I guess the George Washington Bridge is like a half hour. This is maybe 15 minutes to get across. But it's beautiful, so beautiful up here, especially in the spring, summer, and early fall. I don't want to be up here in the winter. Good heavens, I've been there. Whew. Then you go further, and for a long time, here's West Point. It's funny, the narrowest parts don't have a bridge. Isn't that interesting? It's Cold Spring, and it gets wide here. There is a bridge right here, and Beacon. This is the Beacon Newburgh Bridge. It's not a suspension bridge. Or am I getting confused? Yeah, it's not really a suspension bridge. It's a different style. Many posts in the water. And we've been to Beacon before. And then it goes further. The Hudson's a long river. Here's Poughkeepsie. Now, this is the last one I'm going to point out, but I want to show you. There's the Mid-Hudson Bridge, which is actually a very beautiful bridge. Very nice. It's a suspension bridge as well. You can't tell from here. But this is a bridge for people only. It's the walkway over the Hudson. And it's a nice bridge, and it starts way in here in Poughkeepsie. You have to walk quite a ways before you get to the water, and you get great views. I mean, you can't see the city from that far, but still. And then you get off over here. There's nothing over on this side. Not really. So you turn around and you walk back. There's nothing to see here. And there are bridges, I'm sure, further up, all the way up New York State, all the way to, it opens out as Hudson Bay and up there by Canada and all of that, but we're not going to concern. There's the Catskills. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's a very big state. And it's a very cold state. You think, well, I know it's cold. Well, actually, in New York City, it's warm compared to up there. I mean, it gets really cold. So, that's what we did, and now you get to see how it's laid out on the map from the satellite view. So now that we know where it is on the map, you've seen it from above, now let's see it on the ground. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and see our movie for today, Walking Across the George Washington Bridge. Well, just got off the jitney at the other side of the George Washington Bridge. Now, I'm going to walk across the other way. There it is. It'll be different. We've had a class where we walk from Manhattan. We're going to do it this way now. That's where we're going. So now we have to cross to the other side and then walk down to the entrance from that side. Not too bad a walk from here. Like 10 minutes, we'll be at the bridge. Well, you saw the bike riders going that direction. That's the way to go. That's the bike path and the walking path. We're going to start our walk across the bridge. But first, I thought it'd be cool to let you in on a little bit of history on how this bridge was built. So here's a video about that.
York City is the city of islands. With the population boom of the 20s, it was clear that many river crossings would need to be built. There was one man that was given the task of designing almost all the New York City bridges that stand today. In this next segment, we'll see just what it takes to build a massive suspension bridge.
In 1924, my father, Othmar Alman, was assigned as engineer of bridges to construct the George Washington Bridge.
This would become Alman's first project as lead engineer, and he quickly became overwhelmed with the problems at hand.
I think first realizing that Lindenthal's project wouldn't float. Secondly, he was campaigning to have the idea of a bridge up where it is now accepted. And thirdly, he had to be adjusted to the fact that he was appointed to see that this bridge was built.
They would begin construction in 1927 with a budget of $60 million.
They had to carve out a section of Upper Manhattan and Washington Heights where there were residential apartments, people living in the pathway of the bridge. And it was no different in Fort Lee, although probably less so, because Fort Lee wasn't as populated as Washington Heights.
At the entrance, take a look. Hey everybody, we are on the bridge, looking over the river. Hey, take a look. Way high up. Now don't be scared. You see there's fencing all around. There's no way you can fall off. You can't even climb, you can't even jump off. So just relax, ignore the cars on the side, and just watch out for the bikers. That's the main thing. I think where we are is scary. Look at this. That's one of the arms going up. I'm gonna zoom in. I go up to the tower. And there are people walking up there. Daredevils. Woo! Not me.
They started with the actual cement base of both towers.
Both towers comprised of 12 50-foot sections. Each tower section was floated in, one by one, to the piers.
The towers are 600 feet high, and they needed to be that high to make sure that the bridge allowed very tall ships to go underneath.
Then they ran the cabling going across the top of the bridge. They had an actual machine that would ride along and lay the cables, and spin it, sort of like a spider would. It would spin the cables back and forth, and would go up and down the towers, and would lay the cabling. It's like millions and millions of feet of cable that went into the construction of the bridge. So it was constant day and night. It was constantly laying the cables, going back and forth, and of course, the cables that basically hold the bridge down, they laid after that. They actually built the roadways at the same time, going until they converged into the middle. And they brought them in on barges and were brought and hoisted up to the bridge, and was sectioned off to each piece. The bridge was actually over-engineered. The cables had been buried deep into the palisades. The support to hold this bridge is phenomenal. The bridge was designed to actually have more roadways to be added on in the future. So it's built to hold more weight that's actually there now.
These bikers come pretty fast up here, so you gotta watch yourself. So, with the magic of sticking the camera in between the fence wires, we're gonna get some shots of the river. suspension cable right in the middle. I think we're at the border between New York and New Jersey. I'm looking down here. There's a line here. Normally there's a sign, but there. So I'm going to assume there's that line. I'm stepping over from New Jersey, and now we're in New York. We mature. Here's the actual sign. Welcome to New York.
12 people died in the course of construction, which actually is to us an inconceivably large number to be sacrificed, but at the time was not actually a huge number on a construction project. Bridge building is very dangerous. People are working up on heights. When you're spinning the cables, there are loose wires that are flipping around. People get the bends from being deep underwater, working in the caissons when you're drilling footings.
Halfway through the construction, the Great Depression hit, and the grand scale of the bridge would be forced to be reduced.
Originally, it was supposed to have a very elaborate and rather 19th century looking granite covering for the great towers of the bridge, and they decided they didn't really need to do it, that the steel was strong without it. They had originally planned elaborate bridge plazas, which featured very 19th century decorations, but these were never built due to costs. The idea for these decorations was more the notion that a great bridge is an entryway to a city, so that it conveyed to everybody that this was a noble city.
And also what the bridge did, it divided Fort Lee, and Fort Lee today still has that impact of almost being two towns. When they were building it, Fort Lee saw a real estate boom. They thought that this town was going to explode, property values would be up. There were streets designed with lots, with no homes built, in hopes that the bridge would bring, this great prosperity. Now, this is the same time the bridge was going up. Unfortunately, the prosperity really didn't hit Fort Lee till the 1960s because of the Depression.
Luckily, the city did not run out of money in the Depression to build the bridge. In fact, they came in a little bit under budget because costs went down in the Great Depression.
With the design cuts made, the bridge was able to open a full year early, which also saved an extra $1 million. On October 25th, 1931, the bridge opened its lanes to traffic.
When the bridge opened, there was a lot of festivities, and the President of the United States came to demonstrate two aspects of American engineering and ingenuity.
Othmar Ammann would go on to design the Bayonne Bridge, Triborough, Whitestone, Throgs Neck Bridges, and the largest and last, the Verrazano's Narrows Bridge, before passing away in 1965.
I try to visualize Father being here at the celebration of the opening of the bridge 75 years later. This was his favorite. He really had to take the courage and the entrepreneurship to push it all. If we see him there at the opening, he won't be standing there with his chest out. He would be quietly back in the background, just very modestly enjoying everybody else's enthusiasm.
Though the bridge was not completed to the exact design of Othmar H. Ammann, it was still honored as a roaring success. The bridge, later known as the GWB, would see many more adjustments before becoming what it is today. The George Washington Bridge, 75 years crossing the Hudson, will be right back.
The bridge opens with thunderous acclaim, but the necessity of this bridge was much higher than originally expected. The construction had just begun. This George Washington Bridge factoid is brought to you by Verizon, working for you. The GWB is home to the largest free-flying American flag, draping 90 feet from the West Tower. This patriotic symbol is flown on 8 holidays: Martin Luther King Day, Washington's birthday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Columbus Day, Veterans Day, and of course, Flag Day.
ramp as we descend off the George Washington Bridge onto 178th Street in Washington Heights. That's where we came from. And that's where we're going. Notice how much quieter it is here. Getting off that noisy bridge. This is the Cabrini neighborhood at the tip of Washington Heights. Over there you see the entrance to the bridge. People that have apartments on the end there have great views of the Hudson River. We're going the other way. Our way home is to the subway at 175th Street. So we've arrived at the 175th Street station A train, and I'm about to descend down to go home. This is where our journey ends. I hope you really enjoyed it. It's not the kind of thing that everybody would do, so I did it for you. You didn't have to be so scared. Well, folks, have a great, wonderful day, rest of the day, and we'll see you next trip. This is Victor Carr, and signing off. And that's it. That's our movie. Wasn't that fun? Well, it was fun for me being there. A little scary too, though. I mean, you saw those cars. But I hope that gave you a sense of what it feels like to actually be on that bridge. If you never ever in your life do that, at least you get the feeling that you kind of did it vicariously. So I hope you enjoyed that. And that is our virtual photography trip for the week. And as always, before we sign off, I wish you a great weekend and that you stay happy, healthy, and safe. And we'll be seeing you next week, same time. And this is Victor Carr, signing off.